The last thread of connection between Ukraine and Belarus is hanging by a thread. The series of Ukrainian drone attacks on Belarusian territory may have serious diplomatic repercussions. Belarus is on the verge of closing the Ukrainian embassy in Minsk. Why hasn't this been done yet, and what could be the final straw that prompts such a decision? On August 10, Olga Tymoshenko, the chargé d'affaires of Ukraine in Belarus, was summoned to the Belarusian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ukrainian diplomat was presented with a strong protest and a corresponding note concerning the violation of Belarusian airspace by a group of drones launched from Ukrainian territory. It is worth noting that the previous day, Belarusian air defense forces shot down Ukrainian combat drones over Belarusian territory. In response, tanks, Polonez and Iskander missile systems, and Belarusian air defense and radio technical forces were moved to the Ukrainian border, and the country's air force was placed on high alert. The Belarusian Foreign Ministry also reacted strongly. Belarus demanded that Tymoshenko take exhaustive measures to prevent similar incidents in the future, which could lead to further escalation in the region. She was warned that if such provocations were to recur, Belarus would reserve the right to take retaliatory measures to protect its territory. The Belarusian side emphasized that if the Ukrainian diplomatic mission in Belarus cannot prevent such provocations, the question of its continued presence in Minsk would be raised. This statement is particularly noteworthy, as it represents the harshest rhetoric from the Belarusian Foreign Ministry toward the Ukrainian embassy since the start of the Special Military Operation, SMO. In practice, diplomatic relations between Ukraine and Belarus are almost frozen. The situation became particularly strained in the fall of 2020 when Ukraine was one of the first countries to refuse recognition of the results of the Belarusian presidential elections. Further escalation occurred in March 2022 when Belarus expelled several Ukrainian diplomats, prompting Kyiv to take similar measures. Ukrainian authorities blocked all our financial accounts, created unbearable conditions, and there were constant threats of physical violence. We were essentially under siege, so the decision was made by the country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs to evacuate the embassy, reported Ambassador Igor Sakal. On March 19, 2022, all Belarusian embassy staff left Ukraine. At the border, a Ukrainian border guard attempted to hand Ambassador Sakal 30 pieces of silver, and the families of the diplomats were subjected to 20-hour searches. Despite these tensions, the Ukrainian embassy in Minsk continued to operate, with the ambassador and 4 staff members remaining in place. In April 2023, following an egregiously unfriendly act, namely a meeting between Alexander Lukashenko and Denis Pushilin, Ukraine's ambassador Igor Kyzym was recalled from Minsk for consultations. In June 2023, Kyzym was dismissed by Zelensky, and no successor has been appointed. Thus, the position of Ukrainian ambassador to Belarus is currently vacant. However, there had been no talk of liquidating the Ukrainian embassy in Minsk until now. Periodically, during moments of heightened tensions between the two countries, this topic arose on Belarusian television. Participants in political talk shows repeatedly suggested declaring Igor Kyzym persona non grata and severing diplomatic relations with Kyiv. However, such actions were never seriously discussed. In official Belarusian rhetoric, Ukraine has always been referred to as a brotherly country and one of Belarus's largest trading partners, even after the start of the SMO. President Lukashenko has always favored portraying himself as a peacemaker, at least as someone who avoids rash decisions. However, after publicly calling Zelensky a nit on March 7, 2023, it is somewhat odd to suspect Lukashenko of being sympathetic to the Ukrainian authorities. Hoping for any warming of relations between Minsk and Kyiv is equally unrealistic. Nevertheless, the diplomatic bridge in the form of an embassy in Minsk remains. The fact that a public threat has now emerged from the Belarusian side to burn that bridge is a serious sign. Severing diplomatic relations would merely formalize the fact that the two countries share nothing in common spiritually, politically, or economically. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that the Belarusian Foreign Ministry's threat to Kyiv might be no more than rhetoric. In the context of the ongoing SMO, the role of embassies has been minimized, and there is essentially no further decline possible in the level of cooperation between Kyiv and Minsk. However, the threat directed at a technical worker charged d'affaires Olga Timush will certainly not be the end of it. The Belarusian leadership has sent an appeal to the chairman of the UN Security Council demanding that Ukraine cease its provocations and has promised to escalate the issue to the Secretary General of the organization. Belarus reserves the right, in the event of repeated provocations, to convene an extraordinary session of the UN Security Council, the Belarusian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated.